Morgen werden wir sehen, wie christlich die CDU eigentlich ist. Wir wissen jetzt auch schon, Friedrich Merz kann kein Christ sein. There is a fake Christ. That's what he is. Friedrich Merz, we already know he's a liar. You know what I'm saying? That's all he does. It's all he did so far. Since he's been the Chancellor of Germany, he's done nothing but lie his ass off about every single fucking topic that there is. I don't think he said one true thing since he's been there. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed something. You know what I mean? Maybe I missed something. But what's funny is Friedrich Merz was asked by another Bundestag member, Beatrix von Storch, which is a member of the AfD party, was asked if he can vote for this leftist ideologue woman to become a judge at the highest court in the country, right? If he can vote with good conscience for her, because she's a leftist ideologue, she's a leftist activist, she has already made statements saying that she wants to use the power of the court in order to push through unpopular agendas. You know what I'm saying? And she's also, this is the most important part, and I've said this in the last 3 videos I've done about this, is she also said that the value of, there is no value in anything that hasn't been born yet. Basically, she feels like, her feeling is that life does not begin until you're born, right? Now, I'm not here to answer that question. I am pro-abortion. Not till the 9th month and not till birth. No, I think the rule that Germany has right now, in the first trimester it's legal, I think that's pretty realistic, right? I keep it at that. Why fuck with it, right? But this lady who wants to be one of the highest judges in the land, right, has said that there is no legal value to life before it's born, and whether they turn that into abortions till end of pregnancy or not, right? Whether they turn that into that or not. The statement she made goes against everything that is fundamentally Christian, right? We all know that. I'm not a religious person, right? And I don't think that politics should be influenced by religion. That's what I think. So I think parties like the CDU and shit like that, I don't think that should be brought into the conversation when it comes to politics, because I don't think that ideology should be running the politics for a country that is supposedly free. If you are living under the rules and regulations of an ideology, you are not free, right? And it's not a democratic society. So I think religion and politics should be completely separated, and I think it should be forbidden to attach religion to politics in any way, including the names, right? But the way I see it is not the way it is, right? The way it is that religion does play a role in politics, especially when it comes to voters. And that's why the CDU and the people that are in it seem to be in the CDU, because, well, the Christian Democrats, that sounds really good. We'll get a lot of Christian voters like that because we're the only Christian party. So let's join up there. But it obviously doesn't really have to do with Christianity, right? It doesn't have to do with any values. Because if you had values, if your fundamental value was Christianity, right? And then you have to vote for a judge to fill the Supreme Court seat here in Germany. You don't vote for the judge that says, oh, life is irrelevant until after you're born. The value of life is a very, very big Christian value. Christians believe, as far as I know, I might be getting this wrong, but I think Christians believe that life begins at conception. So abortion is, for Christians, really already a taboo topic. Right? No abortion, right? That's basically, if you're a true Christian, then that's basically your mindset, right? Now, maybe you'll make some exceptions for life of the mother or, you know, extreme defects or shit like that. But actually, Christians are basically like, no. At least the Christians in America that I know are basically like, nah. Abortion, bad. Life begins at conception, it's murder. And then you got this woman who's, first of all, a far left radical, right? So that goes also, it's the Christian Democrats because they're the conservative party, supposedly. Well, as a conservative party, you don't vote for leftist activists to become judges in the highest court in the land, right? So not only do they go against their political values, They go against their religious values. So all the values that the CDU has are now out the fucking window, right? Basically. So Friedrich Merz was asked if he could vote in good conscience for this woman. And he said simply yes. Yes, of course I can. Knowing what she said about the value of life, right? He knew what she said about the value of life. He just accepts it and says, yes, she's still going to be the judge I'll vote for. And we all know that he only wants to vote for this judge to keep the peace within the coalition, because if he doesn't, then the coalition might break and he might lose his power. Ooh, that's the last thing Friedrich Merz wants. He doesn't want to lose any power. He doesn't care about Christianity or the fucking German people or any of that shit. Get the fuck out of here. He clearly doesn't, right? He cares about staying in power. That's it. And he's going to do whatever he has to do. He's going to suck whoever's dick he has to suck. He's going to let himself get fucked by whoever he has to let himself get fucked by. And he's going to turn his back on his own grandma if he has to stay in power. Because people who pretend to have these... See, I don't pretend to have religious values because I'm not religious, right? Sometimes I wish I was. I just can't bring myself to do it. I'm not religious. So I don't run around proclaiming that I have these religious values that I stand for, and I'm so morally, I'm the most moral because I have religious values. I don't do that because I'm not religious. And I think it's gross for people to pretend they're religious just to stay in power, right? Donald Trump has a hand in this. I don't like it, right? But Friedrich Merz takes the fucking cake, man. So he just said to his whole fraction, his whole coalition, right, and all the people in his party, that Christian values, fundamental, like the value of life, don't matter to him, because that this lady becomes a judge is more important. So he's willing to set aside his values of Christianity, right, in order to let this woman be a judge. Why? Is he fucking her? Is there something she's giving him? Is she paying him? Why would you throw away your so-called values in order to allow somebody on the opposite team as you, that goes against everything you stand for, to become a judge? Why would you vote for that person to become a judge in the highest court in the country? That's crazy. That's crazy. So the guy can't be a Christian. And we're going to find out how many real Christians there are in the CDU. Because I can tell you this, every CDU member that votes for this woman, this horrible leftist ideologue activist, this dangerous, very dangerous person. See, you know how they got Hitler in power? By electing people like this lady, right? Right? That's how that happens. Is the ideology takes over, in this case leftist ideology, and puts dangerous people in positions they have no place being in. And that's what's happening right now, and the CDU is going to go for it. I think they're going to get through. I think the CDU is going to vote them in. And you know what? If you're a CDU member out there in Bundestag, right, and you probably won't be listening to this, so just in case, right, anybody that votes for this woman is not a real Christian, and we have to stop pretending that they are, right? Don't allow yourselves to get fooled by a name. That's why I keep saying in my videos, we have to judge these politicians based on their actions and not their BS, right? Not their name, not what they say, not what they say they promise they're going to say, not what they promise they're going to do. None of that shit matters at all. At all. Right? We know now, we see these people the so-called Christian Democrats are not Christians. So the name itself is misleading. Right? Now there may be some Christians through there, but hey, we'll know who they are when the vote goes through on Friday. Right? So any so-called Christian that votes for this leftist activist who hates fetuses, okay, they're not really Christians. They're just hiding behind that name so that they get votes. That's all they're doing. They're hijacking the values of Christianity for their political ends, and then they won't even stand behind them when it comes time to. These are horrible people, right? These are horrible people. These are blasphemers, right? These are blasphemers. In ancient times, Christians or Catholics who would do something like this would probably be burned at the stake or hung or stabbed to death or whatever the fuck they did to him. At least walked outside naked with people yelling shame, shame at them while they pelt them with tomatoes and dog shit or whatever. You know what I mean? They would have done something to the motherfuckers. You know what I mean? So anybody that votes for this leftist lunatic to become a judge in this country, after what she has said, that goes against every Christian value that exists, is not a real Christian and is just using Christianity for their political and personal benefit, which is absolutely disgusting. I don't go around, pretending I'm a Christian when it fucking suits me, right? I just say I'm not religious. I'm not a Christian. I will never, ever use somebody else's belief to my advantage when I don't believe that shit. No, that's like the worst thing you can do as a person, except for rape little kids, right? That's probably the second worst thing you can do. It's fucking unbelievable. Now, to close this out, I have a friend. If you want to stop little kids being raped, right? I have a friend in Texas who is raising money in order to rescue children from traffickers all over the world, right? And especially in America. But he's rescuing kids from traffickers. What he does is he raises money for specialist units to go and investigate and find these kids. He raises money to cover their expenses so that they can do it, because the police are obviously not doing enough or barely anything. And if you want to help this guy, it's K-Mag from Texas, my buddy. And I'll put the link to his Rumble channel down below. You can check it out. And there you'll find all the information as to how you can help him on his project and his mission. All right, guys, that is it for now for today. Friday, we're going to see who the real Christians are. And I have a bad feeling it's going to be not many, right? I have a bad feeling that this judge is going to get in and that the Christian Democrats just helped fuck their country. Because these people are going to be in that seat, I don't know, I think it's 12 years. 12 years? That's crazy, all right? That's crazy. And if this woman gets in, you can thank the CDU for another nail in the coffin, for Germany. And it might be the last nail, especially if you get the other judge on there as well that's going to use the court to mandate climate change policy on everybody if they can't get it through politically. So there you go. The end then. If she gets in and does what she says she's going to do, that's it for Germany. Good night. It's done. So you can thank the CDU for that. The great Christians, the great moral Christians. Don't make me fucking get the fuck out of here with that shit. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.